Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Modi holds delegation-level talks with the President of Namibia. 4 MOUs signed. PM Modi emphasizes on nuclear cooperation among other sectors. US President Donald Trump to unveil new round of trade tariff letters, targets at least 7 additional countries with fresh reciprocal tariff measures. And in Wimbledon, world number 1 Yannick Sinner eyes semi-final berth as he faces Ben Shelton in the quarterfinals. Our top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Namibia in the final leg of his 5-nation visit. Upon his arrival at the State House, PM Modi was accorded a ceremonial welcome and received a 21-gun salute in Namibia. This is the first visit of Prime Minister to Namibia and the third ever Prime Ministerial visit from India to Namibia. Namibia is a valued and trusted African partner with whom India seeks to boost bilateral cooperation. Later, Prime Minister Modi signed a visitor's book marking a significant moment of India-Namibia camaraderie. Prime Minister was greeted by Namibian officials. PM Modi also exchanged warm handshake with Namibian President, symbolizes strong bilateral ties between the two nations. And Prime Minister Modi held high-level delegation talks with Namibian President Dr Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah in Windhoek, focusing on deepening India-Namibia ties. The discussions covered cooperation in energy, health, education and digital technology, aiming to bolster bilateral partnerships. In her address, the Namibian President lauded India-Namibia ties, focusing on the capacity of both the countries in expanding trade and investment cooperation. She highlighted areas of cooperation among the two countries, including green hydrogen, mining and value addition, oil and gas, infrastructure development, food security and tourism development. Her address was followed by PM Modi's address, in which she highlighted cooperation in civil, nuclear and petroleum sector and said that both the countries agree on promoting further trade and investment. And 4 significant MOUs were signed to strengthen bilateral ties between India and Namibia. These include the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure Framework Agreement to enhance infrastructure resilience, the Global Biofuels Alliance Framework Agreement to promote sustainable energy, an MOU for establishing an entrepreneurship development center to foster innovation, and an agreement on cooperation in health and medicine to advance healthcare collaboration. These MOUs reflect India and Namibia's commitment to sustainable development and mutual growth. Earlier, PM Modi received a grand welcome by the Indian diaspora as they arrived at the State Guest House in Windhoek. The special welcome by the Indian community in Namibia reflected extreme optimism about closer India-Namibia friendship. They have retained a connect with their culture and traditions. The Indian diaspora was filled with enthusiasm as they met the Prime Minister. Some shared their experience of meeting PM Modi. Let's listen in.
It was excellent. We were just here meeting his parents, and now we have met the great Prime Minister of India. So we had a really great experience, and Jai Hind.
It was really a very surreal experience. He took my poster and he really focused on the poem. I really liked that about him, and and it was like a very dream come true moment for me.
It was a lovely feeling after meeting Modi ji. Like I never had imagined, we see prime ministers milke itna zyada acha lagega, because it is a whole different energy, and the charisma that he carries, it's absolutely fantastic.
I liked it very much, and we are really fortunate to meet him here, and काफी अच्छा लगा.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid a wreath at Heroes Acre in Windhoek, Namibia on Wednesday and paid homage to Namibia's founding father, Dr Sam Nujoma, during his state visit. This gesture underscored India's long-standing support for Namibia's independence movement. India was one of the first countries to support Namibia's freedom in 1946. India's development partnership with Namibia is not just about trade and diplomacy, it's about sharing skills and knowledge. At the University of Namibia in Windhoek, a center of excellence in IT set up with Indian support is equipping young Namibians with the tools of the digital age. A report.
Capacity building play a crucial role when it comes to ties between two countries. I'm here in Namibia, in front of India-Namibia Center for Excellence in the field of information and technology. This center is established with the assistance by the Government of India, where hundreds of students have already been trained in the field of IT, and many of them are already enrolled to learn new skills, to burnish their skills, and to fulfill the vision of Namibian government of e-governance and digital empowerment.
This center offers training in areas like software development, cybersecurity, and web design, all aimed at giving Namibian youth a competitive edge in the technology-driven world.
All these programs were set up with the assistance of the Indian government through SIDEC, because we basically implemented our programs in collaboration with SIDEC in Pune.
This is a very good collaboration with the Indian government to assist the Namibian government with ICT education.
The center is not just about building skills, it also creates opportunities for students from all walks of life to access quality IT training. It's part of India's focus on development that indirectly benefits people on the ground.
This center, we call it as India-Namibia Center of Excellence in Information Technology, which is established at Namibia University of Science and Technology under the bilateral agreement between Government of India and Government of Namibia. The main aim of this center is capacity building in Namibia, and also to boost the research capacity in Namibia. So using these capacity sector, we offer a few programs here. Many of the students, like I would say 500 plus students have been trained, and those are basically working professionals. We are assisting ministries and the government offices. They used to come here and upskill their knowledge.
How do you see the future of the center as more and more students they enroll in the center to learn in the field of IT?
I would say very, very important contribution from Government of India, as well as, in assisting the Government of Namibia to build the capacity in Namibia. So definitely center will fly, and we will work and assist as much as possible.
So we got to know that the India-Namibia Center of Excellence in Information Technology is not just a center. It's a vision where Namibians, youths and working professionals are being trained to work in the field of IT and also to burnish their skills, and which exactly is the demand of the future. With camera person Alok, this is Siddharth Bhardwaj reporting for TD India in Namibia.
And economic ties between India and Namibia continue to grow steadily. We take you inside a diamond processing unit run by an Indian company that's training and employing Namibians on the ground.
Ankit Gems here in Namibia, the oldest factory of diamond cutting and polishing set up by an Indian. And just ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit, this facility is a clear example of how Indian investment is adding value locally and also strengthening the economic ties between the two countries.
Ankit Gems brought a game-changing model to Namibia's diamond sector. Process locally, employ locally. Today, hundreds of Namibians work here, many trained in high-precision diamond cutting. The Indian company's presence supports Namibia's long-standing vision, retain more value from its natural resources and provide long-term employment to its citizens.
We are very happy here polishing diamonds, so it's been a really good experience.
I've been working as an export and import operator. Then now I'm doing traceability so that every stone that anybody from outside buys, they are able to trace it on our traceability and see from rough to finished polishing.
We are employed 130 people Namibian, and we are teaching them and then employed because there is no institute for diamond and anything, and we are looking forward better from government as well.
Namibia is among the world's top producers of gem quality diamonds. India, meanwhile, is the global hub for cutting and polishing. Together, the two countries are creating a win-win partnership where Namibia moves up the value chain and India contributes through technology, training and trust.
As Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Namibia, ventures like Ankit Gems reflect a deeper story of growing India-Namibia partnership, which is creating jobs, generating employment and a promising future. With camera person Alok, this is Siddharth Bhardwaj reporting for DD India in Namibia.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. EU unveils stockpiling strategy to prepare for war. And death toll in Texas flash flood climbs to at least 109, 180 others are missing.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahaj and some more stories. US President Donald Trump has announced that he will unveil a new round of trade-related correspondence on Wednesday, targeting at least 7 additional countries with fresh reciprocal tariff measures as his administration doubles down on efforts to address what it claims are long-standing global trade imbalances. The letters, expected to be published publicly before being officially dispatched, will notify countries of new tariff rates ranging from 25% to 40%, scheduled to come into effect on 1st August 2025. The move follows a series of earlier letters sent on Monday to 14 countries in which Donald Trump warned that unless trade deals were finalized by the August deadline, higher tariffs would be enforced. And US President Donald Trump announced plans for a 50% duty on copper imports a day after the White House sent letters to Japan, South Korea and other countries about tariffs to kick in August 1st. Trump also said he is planning to impose tariffs on imported semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, with medicine tariffs potentially reaching 200%. However, he said drug makers would be given about a year to get their act together. Reiterating his threat of a 10% tariff on BRICS, Trump said the bloc was not a serious grouping but acknowledged that it is challenging the US dollar.
Ones we did steel, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
Weren't you, that's copper?
And we did cars. And now, today we're doing copper.
Copper and lumber. What would that tariff be on? The section tariff?
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%.
After Trump spoke, US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the copper tariffs would likely be put in place by the end of July or August 1st. Lutnick added that the investigations on copper under Section 232 are complete and the observations have been submitted to the President. The deadline for the investigation to conclude is in November. And the European Union is working closely with US President Donald Trump's administration to reach a trade deal, but Brussels is getting ready for all scenarios. While addressing the European Parliament, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Wednesday that EU stick to the principles to get ready for all scenarios.
As you know, since February, the United States has imposed tariffs on 70% of total EU trade with the United States. The scale and the scope of these measures is unprecedented. So our line has to be very clear. We will be firm. We do prefer a negotiated solution. This is why we're working closely with the US administration to get an agreement. And I had a good exchange with President Trump earlier this week to help move things forward. We're looking for a reliable framework from which we can keep building our common trade. So the message is clear. We stick to our principles, we defend our interests, we continue the work in good faith, and we get ready for all scenarios. We will, of course, keep this House informed. Honourable members, the reason why we're working day and night to find a solution is because we believe tariffs are bad for business.
Bangladesh now faces uncertainty as Trump announced new rate of 35% for its goods applicable from August 1st, which is mere a 2% reduction on his original announcement of 37%. Trump has warned of increasing the rates if retaliated. Economists and business leaders in Bangladesh believe that the country may lose its once cherished win-win position in the US market following the latest announcement. The burden of this new reality is expected to fall mainly on Bangladesh's garment sector, where key competitor Vietnam have had their tariff slashed from 46% to just 20%. Dhaka is already in talks with Washington, with their Commerce Secretary soon joining the already present delegation there. And the EU on Wednesday announced its first ever plan to help stockpile essential goods such as food, water, fuel and medicines in case of crisis amid fears over potential war with Russia. The stockpiling strategy from Brussels comes as NATO warns that Russia, currently waging war on EU neighbouring Ukraine, could be ready to attack the alliance within 5 years. The 27-nation bloc has launched a broad readiness push to bolster its militaries and try to ensure it can defend itself by 2030. The EU says the new stockpiling plan is aimed at securing the continuity of key goods during a raft of crises such as major energy blackouts, natural disasters, conflicts or pandemics. It involves establishing a network between countries to better coordinate stocks, identifying gaps and bolstering EU-level stockpiles. Now, Taiwan launched its largest ever military drills on Wednesday, beginning with simulated attacks on command systems and infrastructure considered vulnerable to threats from the Chinese military. Naval vessels in harbours across the island were seen mobilizing, while reservists were called up to participate in training exercises. This year's annual Han Kuang exercises will mobilize the largest number of reservists to date, around 22,000, and will for the first time feature high-mobility artillery rocket systems made by Lockheed Martin. Over the next 10 days, the drills will expand to test Taiwan's combat readiness in the event of a full-scale attempt to seize the island. And in a chilling example of the growing threat posed by artificial intelligence, a mysterious individual successfully impersonated US Secretary of State Marco Rubio using a convincingly generated AI voice, reaching out to foreign ministers and American officials in a calculated diplomatic deception. Voice cloning and generative AI tools, once limited to research labs, are now readily accessible and increasingly abused. Let's take a look at this report.
AI-powered tools are becoming a challenge for governments across the globe with alarming pace. The impersonator and Marco Rubio used the Signal messaging app to initiate contact with at least 3 foreign ministers, a U.S. governor, a member of Congress, and 2 senior officials, mimicking U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's tone, cadence, and speech patterns with alarming accuracy. The department is receiving its communication protocols and has reminded personnel to verify all unusual or unexpected outreach, even from familiar voices.
The State Department, of course, is aware of this incident and is currently monitoring and addressing the matter. The department takes seriously its responsibility to safeguard its information. The State Department, of course, when we think about the reports that have occurred, and the details that we would like to provide become problematic, obviously, when it comes to investigations and the nature of the actions that we're taking.
There have been a few notable past incidents of top-level AI misuse. In 2019, an AI-generated deepfake voice mimicked the German parent company CEO in a phone call that convinced the UK firm's managing director to transfer €220,000 to a Hungarian supplier. Then in 2021, fraudsters used deepfake video and voice to pose as executives in a video meeting at a company called Arup, nearly fooling staff into transferring $39 million before suspicions halted the scam. A similar incident happened in 2020 when an AI voice deepfake convinced a company director to send $35 million. There were a number of incidents reported in 2024 alone. Deepfake robocalls used President Biden's voice to urge NH voters not to show up, prompting an FCC response and legal action against the creators. Deepfake audio falsely portrayed Slovakian politician Michael Semeka admitting to rigging votes, spreading disinformation just before elections. AI-generated video showed UK's Rishi Sunak making inflammatory remarks. Over 100 fake ads were distributed on Facebook to sway public opinion. Governments and institutions are now racing to implement authentication protocols, as AI-powered deception is emerging as a clear and present danger to the common man and also to the governments. Bureau Report, DD India.
And former British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will return to Goldman Sachs in an advisory role, the Wall Street Bank said on Tuesday, taking a new post a year after he led the Conservatives to a crushing electoral defeat. As per Goldman Sachs Chairman David Solomon, Sunak will advise clients on the macroeconomic and geopolitical landscape. Sunak, who remains a Conservative member of Parliament from a seat in Northern England, previously worked at Goldman as an analyst in the early 2000s. An economic offender, Monica Kapoor, who was involved in an import-export fraud and was on the run for over 25 years, has been extradited to India by the Central Bureau of Investigation from the United States. In a statement, the CBI said fugitive Monica Kapoor went to the USA in 1999 after the alleged fraud, where she, along with her 2 brothers, forged documents for a jewelry business. These documents were allegedly used to obtain licenses from the Indian government to import raw materials duty-free. And India's Minister of Power Manohar Lal addressed a key session on energy storage and green hydrogen during the India Energy Storage Week 2025 at the Yashobhoomi Convention Centre in New Delhi. Emphasizing India's rapid strides under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, the minister urged private firms to actively participate in scaling up energy storage solutions. Australian High Commissioner to India, Philip Green Oam, was also participated in the session, highlighted Australia's willingness to share expertise in solar rooftop installations and technical collaboration in the clean energy space. All right, we'll get you the visuals from Namibia. So these are the visuals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been conferred with the highest civilian award of Namibia. So highest civilian award has been conferred on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So this is the order of the most ancient Welvicia Mirabilis. The Order of the Most Ancient Welwitschia Mirabilis is the highest civilian award of Namibia. I was talking about this award. So this award was established in 1995, shortly after Namibia gained independence in 1990, to recognize distinguished service and leadership.
Most Asian Order of Welwitschia Mirabilis to Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, who has significantly contributed to socio-economic development and the promotion of peace and justice in Namibia and globally. By virtue of the power vested in me by Article 32H of the Namibian Constitution, I, Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia and Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, I have the honor to confer the honor of Most Asian Order of Welwitschia Mirabilis to Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, who has significantly contributed to socio-economic development and the promotion of peace and justice in Namibia and globally. By virtue of the power vested in me by Article 32H of the Namibian Constitution, I, Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia and Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, I have the honor to confer the honor of Most Asian Order of Welwitschia Mirabilis to Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, who has significantly contributed to socio-economic development and the promotion of peace and justice in Namibia and globally.
All right, so yet another award for Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been conferred with highest civilian award of Namibia. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available